Hi there, welcome to Terraland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Gemini energy. Whoa. And like usual, we're going to do two rows. The top row I refer to as High Vibe Gemini. The bottom row, more worldly, shadowy energy. The King of Pentacles kind of flew over here and got stuck in some other decks that I have sitting over here. So the King of Pentacles almost didn't make an appearance in the top row. The bottom row is a more worldly, shadowy Gemini energy. Gemini talks about our dualistic nature. We have to make these decisions in our life and pick a path or not. But we either kind of have the free will to align with our more hopeful, believing, loving nature and having hope and faith and belief in ourselves and kind of grow and heal and mature ourselves and free ourselves from things that manipulate us. And our shadowy nature can be things that manipulate us. Our fear, our insecurity, our pride, our ego, our lust, our greed, our immature or self-indulgent nature, the list goes on. And this might be something that maybe people who are a Gemini sun sign, rising moon, or got significant Gemini placements might particularly be dealing with. But everybody taps into Gemini energy. So at large, this could be something in Gemini energy of our dualistic nature and needing to. Oh, actually, that wasn't the King of Pentacles, which is kind of interesting in itself. This is the Emperor, and the Emperor is about learning these lessons in life and making well-rounded decisions, taking into account. In tarot, we have the four suits of the deck: our heart, our mind, our passionate creative nature, and our worldly nature. And when we get into Emperor energy, it's kind of having learned these lessons that all four aspects of ourself are equally important, instead of discrediting one aspect of ourselves, like, oh, that's hardly important at all. I don't have to invest any time and energy into that. I can get by without that, but it is a part of us. And so to realize the truth that to really have a well-balanced life is to grow and heal and mature ourselves. High vibe energy is about being more independent, learning lessons in life, and to truly be a high vibe emperor, male or female. The masculine cards can represent how people are presenting themselves in the world. To truly be who you say you are, internally, you would be an empress energy. The feminine figures can talk about how we really think and feel. Anybody can try to present themselves as an emperor energy. You should date me, marry me, go into business with me, be my friend. Like, I got it going on and I'm stable and balanced and mature. And then you find out they're just creating an illusion. And that isn't the truth of who they are at all. High vibe empress would be you've learned all four lessons in the suits of all four of the decks emotionally. And so you really are who you say you are. You're stable, grounded, balanced, motivated, and inspired by love. Love is to be just and fair. You treat other people the way you like to be treated, and inspired. And the reason for the top rose reading is love. All three of the water sign energies are aligned, and we all tap into all three of the, just like we tap into all three of the other zodiac sign traits and characteristics. High vibe people emotionally are more motivated and inspired by love. Some other people, the reason for the bottom rose reading is the Fool card, which is generally you think of Aries, but it also is like Aquarius and Pisces. I'm motivated and inspired to have these things that other people have, and I want these things of the world, but they kind of might be a little bit more caught up in themselves, caught up in the world, or have illusions about what it means to be in a relationship. And they have to go on some journeys and learn some more lessons in life if they want. If they never choose to get more balance within themselves, choose to do love, we live in a world of free will. They can make their life more about themselves or other things that they think will make them happy. Just other people have been illuminated to the truth that love makes it all worthwhile. I could be in a relationship and create an illusion I love them and not. I could get a job and not love it. How much differently are you going to feel if you are in jobs, friendships, and relationships with people and you love them and you're free to be more authentically yourself? Because the bottom row can represent that you defend your more defensive nature, defensive to love, defensive to being more authentically yourself in the world, and then your ego is just manipulating you or defending some other way of being that's kind of shadowy, immature, prideful, egotistical, something like that, self indulgent. So let's go look at the bottom row. We have the Page of Wands and the Ten of Swords, the Judgment card, the Nine of Wands, and the Hermit. So there's some people in the world in their free will, the 8, 9, and 10 of Swords is Gemini energy. In their free will, some people decided, maybe at one time I used to, in the Page of Wands, fire sign energy, which is part of the Emperor energy too, and the Aries energy of the Fool card. I used to have hope and faith and belief in my dreams, but things didn't work out the way I wanted. You know, we've all lived life. We've had people be hurtful, unkind, unjust, unfair. And some people, because of that, they kind of let either their own shadowy energy within themselves, like, no, I don't want to align with my more hopeful, believing, loving nature. I get hurt out there. Or I don't want to do love. That takes work and effort. I have to maintain balance within myself, discipline myself, temper my immature, egoic nature. I don't want to do that. Or because they experienced some hurtful situations in their life that they decided, nope, I'm not doing that anymore. I have made a judgment that I am going to defend hiding, like my more creative, inspired, hopeful, believing, loving nature. And I'm going to go kind of indulge myself or indulge in the world or make my life about these other things that I think will make me happy. Some other people offered love to themselves, to love and believe in themselves, and they decided to call judgment on their more immature, shadowy nature. We're all tempted in our shadow nature not to grow, heal, and mature ourselves or overcome our fears, our insecurities, and our past pain and heartbreak. And some people said, and they could have done it for a long time. We've all got lessons to learn, right? And some people saw how if I don't work through these issues and kind of grow up and mature myself or heal, it's going to be the same shit, different day. And the only person I can change is me. And I might have went through some painful, hurtful experiences, but I'm not going to let those other shadowy people in the world be the boss of my life. And I called judgment on it. And I called judgment on myself. And I called judgment on other people. Everybody has to take accountability. And I am going to stand up for myself and my truth. And I'm going to take inspired action to offer love to myself and other people that I've dealt with in the world, basically, to work through it. Because the truth sets me free, which is high vibe, hermit, Virgo energy. I'm going to offer truth and love to it so I can let it go. And I'm going to accept the truth. The truth sets me free. I'm going to see where I have been more immature, prideful, whatever, I can only change me. And I'm going to change me. And I'm going to see the truth about some of the other people I've dealt with in my life. I can just admit that they're fallible human beings like me. Some of them atrociously so. But I just accept the truth of it. I can only take responsibility for me. And other people have to take accountability for themselves. And I'm not going to take responsibility for them. If they acted in unkind, unjust, unfair ways, just like I could have acted in unjust, unfair ways, or whatever other shadowy things people could have done, they're accountable for their actions, and I'm not going to take responsibility for their actions. I'm only going to take responsibility for mine. And they have to decide if they want to take accountability and be defensive to seeing the truth and grow and heal and mature themselves. I choose to grow and heal and mature myself and grow up. And High Vibe Nine of Wands and Sagittarius is about higher learning and education. I'm going to wrap my brain around this game of life. And I don't like feeling backstabbed, and I don't like backstabbing myself. And if I have backstabbed others, that doesn't make me feel good. High vibe energy is being proud of yourself that you did heal and grow and mature yourself, that you did temper your more immature nature. So you can feel proud of yourself. I'm going to stand up to my more immature nature, or possibly letting my mind run my life, or my lust, or my greed, or my self indulgent nature, or immature nature. I'm calling judgment on that aspect within myself. No more. Because it's not getting me what I want in my life. It's not working out the way I want. When am I going to see the truth? And again, I can't change other people. So I'm going to change me. And that's kind of interesting too, because the Emperor and the Air and the Fool both being about Aries energy. Aries energy is about the self. I can I can keep sabotaging myself. I can keep letting my fear, my insecurity, or whatever I indulge in to make myself feel better, which isn't the answer. I keep finding out over and over it's not the answer. The answer doesn't lie outside of myself. The answer lies within me. And if I have things within me that I haven't dealt with, I'm probably going to get in relationships with people who probably, to their own degree or in different areas, haven't learned some lessons. And we've all been there. That's part of the journey of life. But when do we get tired of, I don't want to repeat those patterns anymore. I want to learn the damn lesson. I want to be enlightened to the truth. And it starts within me. I'm going to offer my self love to grow, heal, mature, offer love to other people, offer it to the past, accept the truth. Everybody's where they're at. Some of those people aren't going to move forward with me on this journey. I accept that. Some of those people are never going to change. Some of those people are never going to hold themselves accountable. Some of those people are going to keep indulging their more immature, prideful, immature, defensive, not being more authentically themselves, if nothing else. And I accept they have the free will to choose to do that. And I'm going to get out of my ego about it. I have a dream. I want to bring a dream into reality. And I don't want to repeat some of those patterns. And I don't want to be in a relationship with people who repeat some of those patterns. I'm ready to have a new beginning, and never really pay attention to it much, but the Hermit has a wand, and there's a maximum of 10 in every suit. So as we kind of go on these journeys in life, if we're willing to deal with the truth, that didn't work. Okay, I need to see the truth of why that didn't work. How did I contribute to it not working out? What about the people I was dealing with? Maybe some truth I wasn't wanting to see about them, and maybe they're more defensive or about themselves or bossy or controlling or whatever. I'm willing to see the truth. So you do that inner work, kind of self reflection, to maybe look at the truth of things you hadn't wanted to see the truth of. Because the bottom row can also represent how we want to stay in denial of the truth, because partly we like the things that we've already put work and effort in to work. But if it isn't working, we have to be willing to close out that chapter and accept the truth and face our fear about going on a new journey. So then we offer love to the situation. If we add a cup of love to the 9 of cups, then we have the 10 of cups. And that's closing out a chapter kind of emotionally. And the 10 of cups can be a lot of things. Maybe there's a lot of things we like to go indulge in to make ourselves feel better, but we go indulge in those things and it kind of runs our life off into the ditch. There might be people we could be drawn and attracted to. Why am I drawn and attracted to them? Because when I get drawn and attracted to people like that, it doesn't work out the way I want. I need to see the truth. And part of it can be that you can be a very loving, nurturing person, and you could think everybody's motivated and inspired by love. But that's not the truth. Everybody has free will. And some people are very defensive to the truth. And in high vibe, the truth is love. And love is supposed to be just and fair. And you're supposed to treat other people the way you like to be treated. And, there could be parts of that that some other people don't want to see the truth, that maybe they don't like to be just and fair. Maybe they don't like to treat other people the way they like to be treated. Or maybe they're just defensive to love. Maybe they're defensive to putting up boundaries to their more immature worldly nature or prideful nature or stubborn nature or something. But we can meet people, and maybe instead of maybe really more getting to know them, because from the one wand of the page to the nine of wands can be, getting to know people and communication and everything. And maybe we jumped into relationships too quickly. Oh, I'm sure it'll all be fine. And we really don't get to know them well enough to know kind of what their truth is. And one person, everybody can be maybe drawn and attracted to each other, but maybe one person in their Aries energy within themselves, everybody taps into Aries energy, maybe they are kind of creating an illusion, and maybe they are kind of more about themselves or more bossy or controlling or more immature, or shadowy energy can be where you really are more petty, envious, jealous, competitive. And they could get in relationships with people, but then they could be defensive. And maybe the other person in high vibe Aries is more motivated to be more loving, less manipulated by fear, insecurity. Well, they could be getting kind of competitive energy, that, well, why aren't you manipulated by some of the things I'm manipulated by? Why are you seeming maybe more free, more confident? Well, then it can get them in their defensive energy, but they might hide that they are kind of getting competitive energy with people. And then you're in a relationship with someone who you are like the competition for them to defeat. And that can be a shadowy energy of, I like to feel like I'm the boss or powerful and controlling, and I might also try to manipulate and control you to make it more about me and not love and believe in yourself. I want you to quit loving and believing in yourself and make it more about me. And sometimes, we don't know people well enough. And some people wear a really good false mask, so you can know them for a really long time, years, decades. And they're two people during the course of life can kind of drift off the road path of life of being more balanced and kind of indulge your more immature nature in one way or the other. And sometimes, what started out one way, by the time some time goes by, it completely seems to be different than what you thought it was. And it's like, wow, how'd that happen? And it can be slowly over time. But adding the one cup to get the 10 of cups can mean that we were kind of in the 9 of cups energy, which can be kind of caught up in illusion and kind of indulging ourselves in some way. We could have even just been indulging ourselves, being more caught up in the world. And again, have these lessons to learn, and it is that we need to heal and grow and mature ourselves. We're dealing with other people who might need to heal and grow and mature themselves. Not everybody is who they say they are. Not everybody wants to do love. Some people are very defensive to love. They're not ever going to do love. I get hurt doing love. And that can be shadowy energy where I just want to indulge myself in a relationship. And I don't ever plan to let my more hopeful, believing, loving nature never comes out to play in the world. You will always be dealing with my more self protective, defensive nature. And if you're someone who has kind of worked through whatever could have made you defensive to be more authentic and loving, you're eventually going to want to be in relationships with people who are more authentic and loving. And some loving people, you can be a loving person to other people. Like, oh, I'm going to help this person. Oh, look, they're sad. Oh, look, they're defensive. I like to try to help other people free themselves, but that gets old after a while too. Why aren't we in relationships with people who challenge us to keep growing and maturing ourselves versus always getting in relationships where we're kind of trying to get them to change? Sometimes it can be because some of the people who are more on the same page as us don't exist in our life. And we want to be in friendships and relationships with people. So we can get in relationships where it is kind of more of a mismatched relationship, but we can hope for the best. And then we kind of got these lessons learned. But otherwise, you could be a loving person, but we all like to stay in our comfort zone. And our comfort zone could be that we're used to dealing with people who are more defensive, more immature, more about themselves, bossy, controlling. And we're not used to being in relationships with people who treat us the way we treat them. So we'll all keep repeating certain patterns and we'll do it over and over and over. And we could have it not work out, but we keep doing it again and it doesn't work out. We're kind of defensive, haven't maybe done some inner work, haven't seen the truth, and we'll keep, we'll all keep repeating a pattern over and over until it's like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. I have got to figure out, I got to wrap my brain around this. I do not want to repeat that. Why do I do what I do? Try to figure out, get a grip on other people. And part of it can be hard to accept. If you're somebody who's motivated and inspired by love and you don't understand why it's so hard to just get along. Why can't we just get along? I'm not trying to manipulate and control you. I like to enjoy my life. I'm trying to get along with you. And then you finally get to where, you know what? I do deserve love. And maybe before, I maybe didn't think I did, or then it was me who, instead of being the one who's trying to change other people, it really challenges me to deal with some of my issues. Because if we get in a relationship with other people who are kind of more immature, it's that person who needs to change. I know they're like this. I know they did that. I know, like, oh, you know, they have so many things they need to change. And some people on the other hand, like that kind of relationship because that is a way for them to feel like kind of like a martyr. I know, am I not such a wonderful person? And that again, I think even high vibe people don't realize that they can do that in a relationship. It's kind of a way of building your self-esteem of what a just and fair and emotionally mature and stable and grounded loving person you are in comparison to those people. But there you're kind of building your self-esteem off of someone else kind of being in shadowy energy, but then you claim a sense of like almost like I'm better than them, But if we were in a relationship with someone who really does treat us the way we treat them, and everybody, there is no trying to drive a false sense of empowerment or martyring yourself and things like that. It really is like now I'm kind of curious to now know what that card is, but kind of makes me think of Taurus energy, where I'd really have to kind of walk the talk of who I profess to be. I can't scapegoat someone else, you know? So people out of love for themselves, wanting to be in more high vibe energy is more just, more fair, more balanced. I need to figure out why I do what I do and kind of see how I could be drawn and attracted to people, but I'm not maybe getting in relationships with people that are more on the same page as me. And when people show me, oh, I'm defensive, oh, I'm prideful, oh, I'm immature, oh, I'm whatever, I'd say, oh, I have been in relationships with people like that. You are going to stay in the friend zone. And I am not going to get in a more involved relationship with you. Because I've already been there and done that. And if people haven't already called judgment on some of that behavior, and if I don't kind of live my life that way or have kind of grown up and matured in some ways, I want to be in a relationship with other people who have some self awareness and self insight about how that doesn't really help. And I don't want to keep staying at that phase of life. I want to move forward in life a little differently, just like I did at age 18, 21, and 25. I want to move forward in life a little differently. I don't want to keep repeating that pattern. And if I see people are repeating some patterns of ways of living life that I don't kind of care to relive, I'm going to have good boundaries now. Though there might be a part of me that might be attracted to them or something. No, based on these lessons I've learned. High vibe Virgos about learning these lessons. Temper my more impulsive nature because, it's just like whatever anybody could have done. I don't know, the thing that just popped in my mind, say, was shoplifting, right? I don't know why. But if somebody, whatever behavior somebody could have done, and a lot of people could have a lot of different vices. People can indulge in drugs and alcohol. Some people can get in relationships just to feel better. And when I say indulging in drugs and alcohol, uh to a degree where they made that so important in their life to be the answer to their problems, and high vibe energy, go enjoy the world to whatever degree, but um it's knowing that in moderation, kind of, where before we could really overindulge in things and it could have driven our life off into the ditch, per se. So we want to become more independent of our shadowy nature and being in relationships with people who are in shadowy energy. So we offer ourselves that cup of love to become independent of that way of feeling within ourselves, acting, behaving out of love for ourselves. And if other people have shown us, your truth is different than my truth, I don't want to do this, that's not my life. I could feel like I can't really live my life and I can't be authentically who I want to be. I accept the truth of it and I get out of my ego about it, you know? And there can be people who, we all could have met people where we wanted to be get more involved in a friendship or date people, and other people wanted to be more in a friendship or date us. And we're like, I'm good. And we have to accept that, just like we feel that way towards people, some people are going to feel that way about us. And the whole thing is, regardless, when we're the one who feels that way or other people feel that way towards us, they know what their truth is. Just like when other people might want that from us, we know what our truth is. And we might see things about them that, I don't know, the way you live your life, it could be more high vibe, and that's not where I'm at. I might have to be more just, fair, balanced, disciplined, um, or just the things that you enjoy going and doing. I don't want to go do that, or just the way you live your life. The other person knows their truth. Just like when that happens with us, we kind of know our truth, right? So, but high vibe people are able to offer love to the situation, and the more practice you could have at that in your life, just like if people are hurtful and kind, where before that might have totally got you all up in your head, and I don't understand why those people are acting like that. Now, the more practice you get in life, it's like, especially if you are offering truth and love, trying to work together with people, yeah, I'm not going to get up in my head. I just see that I could feel like you got some lessons to learn about how to work together with people in a more just and fair and loving way, treating other people the way you like to be treated. And I don't get up in my head anymore. I just accept the truth. You're where you're at. I realized from this day forward, I'm kind of going to be a little defensive to working with you or hanging out with you or socializing with you because you've already shown me the truth of who you are, right? And I've already learned those kind of lessons, and yeah, I'm going to move on. So the high vibe people offered love to it. They did do the inner work, they did learn the lessons. They have become independent of an old way of living life or viewing life, have become independent of some people in their life. And then we have the Seven of Swords, the Five of Swords, the Emperor, and a card not showing itself, which is the Six of Swords. So down here we have a lot of fire sign energy, and that's kind of interesting because the fire signs are on the opposite side of the zodiac wheel of the air signs. And, we all again have to go out on these journeys in life. And, again, we could be fired up about a lot of things in the world that we want to go manifest, that we think will make us happy, that we want to go indulge in, and just pretty fired up to make our life about the world, the ego, the image, the status, indulgence, friendships, really, all those things, getting married, having kids, whatever it is that some people want to do, right? But then there can be a point where we kind of realize that, it kind of keeps my life out of balance. And there might be some things in the world I like and I enjoy, but to have to feel more balance within myself and have more balanced relationships, I need to get basically more balance within myself. In my fire sign energy, I might want to go do these things, but you know, high vibe air sign energy of Libra, Aquarius. The Five of Swords comes after Libra. The five and the six and the seven are Aquarius, also represented by the star card. I have a dream. Well, for one thing, I might not want to keep indulging my more immature nature because, for one, I'm never going to really grow up and mature myself. And really, do I just want to know I lived my life, just made my life all about me and indulging myself, and probably stayed at a very immature way of being and viewing life and viewing the world? Always being so tipped out of balance that the world manipulates me, my fear, my ego, my lust, my greed, other people? Or do I want to become more independent of my more worldly, shadowy nature and other people in my life who might be more worldly and shadowy? Because some people have just been more codependent, is what the pages can be. So they can make their life more about the world because they want the friendship and the relationships and they want people to like them, but are they really living their more authentic life and even doing and investing in things and people that are aligned with their truth? Are you standing up for yourself and living your more authentic truth? Or is it always, well, but I'm afraid then people won't want to be my friend, or people won't like me, or people won't want to be in a relationship? Well, if you're in high vibe energy and you're treating people with truth and love, that's the highest energy of all. Why settle for hanging around people that maybe don't, if they would reject you for being in that energy, then I would say you're kind of hanging around with some shadowy, immature, superficial, whatever people. And is that enough to give up whatever it brings you? But some people could find themselves in situations, again, we can all get ourselves into situations and we can hope for the best. And sometimes some really hurtful, unkind things are going on, but we have a hard time calling judgment on it because then from the one to the nine, we would have to kind of distance ourselves from those people and maybe stand up for ourselves and our truth. And, some of those people, the Ten of Cups can mean it can be people in our own family. It could be people that we've been friends with a really long time. It could have been people that we thought we were going to move together in life. And then it somewhere along the way, it came to be where, we kind of stay in this comfort zone, but we could be in friendships or relationships with people that, they could be harnessing this energy in a more shadowy way, where they're kind of being deceptive and manipulative, want to win at all costs, and are bossy and controlling. And it has to be more about them. And it can be challenging because, well, I love you. You're my brother, my sister, my mom, my dad, my adult child, a friend I've had forever. But somewhere along the way, someone decided to kind of be kind of hurtful or unkind or defensive or kind of immature. And then they could think, well, you love me. You should kind of indulge me, kind of being a little bit more about me. And that can be hard because we initially could have viewed them as someone who did look at life from a higher perspective, that we thought was more just and fair, that could have been someone we looked up to and admired. And at one time, maybe that was when we were a child, but also with some people, we trusted them to give us like good advice, maybe. And then, but sometimes people who are more bossy and controlling in our life, they have their way of living life. And then they don't really want us to love and believe in ourselves and believe in our dreams because somewhere along their way of life, they could have gotten themselves in some situations where now they're living their life a certain way. And they're not living their life doing that. And then it would bother them secretly if you went and kind of lived your life differently, or had more hope and faith and belief in yourself, or had your dreams come into reality. Well, what if you go do that and I'm still kind of in what I'm in, but I'm defensive to speaking my truth and standing up for myself? And then those people just don't want to deal with the truth of it. So then they decide to hide the truth, and they might not even see it within themselves, because that can be a hard thing to acknowledge to yourself. That I try to control these other people in my life who I, you know, uh, could love, but you know, the devil card looks just like the lover's card, and there can be love there, but there's chains and shackles on the people in the devil card. So the devil card can talk about that there can be love there, but it's kind of something shadowy about it. It's kind of oppressive or confining or restrictive or oppressive or imprisoning or hurtful or unkind. And again, it can be people trying to use the fact that other people love them or look up to them or, value their opinion. Because that could be air sign energy, that we think that they're smart. Maybe they make better decisions in their life than we have, and then those people kind of know that we would maybe defer to them, and that we love them and we value their opinion, and we could have be kind of defensive to seeing the truth about them. And you might know some people who are like that. And so it really is kind of like a codependent energy that I have. Mental conflict is what the seven swords can be about. Listening to my own intuition. The difference between the seven and the five of swords is the two of swords, which can be being more inspired within ourself out of love for ourself. And the fact is, my idea of the dream life and other people I might know, their idea of the dream life is different, and their truth can be different than my truth. and who and what they like to invest their time and energy and effort into that makes them feel like they're living the dream isn't my truth. But I have, some people have a lot more of a problem listening to their intuition. And so they might keep repeating a pattern and, might have opportunities in their life kind of be missed opportunities because, and they, even if they see that some people, the Seven of Swords, you can feel like people are being deceptive and manipulative. And maybe those people want, if it's a romantic relationship or even a friendship, some of those people might want you to keep moving forward with them. But why? Is it really love? Or are they hiding that it's more how it benefits them? The ego, the image, the status. If you're loving and nurturing, hey, that works for me, you should keep moving forward with me. But you're kind of feeling like, I don't know that it's really love that really drives and motivates them because, sometimes they could seem to be kind of bossy or controlling or hurtful or unkind or and then some people can get in relationships with people and they create this illusion, not shadowy energy, create this illusion about who they are and that this dream is going to come into reality with them. You should work at this job. You should be my friend. You should date me. You should marry me. This dream is going to come into reality. And then you get in it and you could be trying to move it forward. It's like, come on, let's go. Let's have this new beginning. But it never kind of takes off because again the other people are like, oh well, then I'd have to become more independent of being more about me or being able to indulge my more immature nature or my worldly nature or my friends or my family group, like maybe their original family. And then you could kind of see that they have mental conflict about really being more independent, even though they could have maybe look like a boss in the world in some way. You'd never guess that, oh wow, if your friends or family members kind of have a problem with how you live your life, and if at some future point in time they say, get back here, we're supposed to be the primary foundation in your life, not those people you did marry or want to marry. We don't like those people. They look at life differently. Get back here and do life the way we do it. Those people will be like, oh, sorry, this relationship's over because I'm not more independent to live my more authentic life. Or the world manipulates me, or my ego, or my fear. I get all caught up in my head, and instead of listening to my intuition and being inspired to have some hope and faith and belief in myself or in others or in love, I get all up in my head and I get defensive, and then I might take some immature action out of my fear, and then I might try to control things. And all of those things kind of sabotage a relationship. And for some people, that is how they operate in the world. And that is the pattern that they repeat over and over and over. And people move on. They see that these people aren't who they present themselves as, that they create an illusion, again, that they're more stable, grounded, balanced, mature, independent than they really are. But if you are going to work together with other people, it's like respecting them as their own individual who has their own dreams and aspirations and unique talent, skills, and interest and things that they enjoy doing, which they might not like. But it's like two independent people coming together in a relationship, and it's the center part where you have your common goal in life, but then you on the outside you respect that everybody's their own individual. You have your dreams and aspirations, I have my dreams and aspirations, and hopefully we don't try to stop other people from loving and believing in themselves out of our fear maybe in the fives can talk about change. Well, I don't know if you were to do some of those things, and then I don't know where that would go. And I thought we were just going to stay here and do this. And, I didn't think we were ever going to move forward in life any differently. Never thought we were going to move. Never thought maybe you'd end up looking like a boss in the world. And then that kind of bothers me. And maybe you were more codependent, but now you're kind of bossing up. And now it's like more of a peer to peer equal give and take relationship. And I don't know if I like that. All those things can impact a relationship. There could even be, um, you could have children in your life. They could be adult children. Some of those people don't like that you're kind of moving on with your life and putting in work and effort and standing up for yourself and investing in yourself now, in your own dreams. And they kind of wanted it to always stay where your primary focus was on them, but you know they can be like 25 or 45 years old and they still want you to make your life more oriented where it's more focused on them and indulging them, even if they act in immature ways or are kind of deceptive or manipulative or bossy. And they keep, it's like, pumpkin, I tried to help you work through those things and see how those things were not going to be beneficial for you. you know, when you were young, but that phase of life, now you're an adult, go live it. And they're like, but I don't love and believe in myself. It's like, start doing the work. Start, that's what everyone had to do. But I'm not going to keep putting up being indulging people, or if you are a marriage partner or a friend or a brother or a sister or a mom or a dad, there comes a point in time where, you know, people are going to call judgment on some people. Grow up. And if not, that's fine. I wish you peace. But, I don't want to keep interacting with people who seem to want to present themselves one way in the world and try to hide that they're kind of hurtful or immature or bossy or controlling or egotistical or self centered or whatever. I don't really want to spend that much time with you. So I'm going to distance myself. Maybe at one point in my life, whoever those people are, I kind of let them get away with shit, partly because I could have hoped that over time, they'd change, but I keep seeing they don't. So it's like, you do you, but I've changed. And I have learned some lessons in life. And, I have free will to choose who I want to hang out with and who I don't. And I see with some people, my dream cannot come into reality with them. It is not going to move forward the way I want. Well, so be it. And some people that I would like to have move forward in my life, they're in other relationships. Some of them are high vibes. Some of them I know aren't. Well, it is what it is. I believe that God has another plan for my life. My dream can only come into reality with people who are kind of on the same page at the same time as me. And for some people that, they're already moving forward, we also have to be willing to admit, you and other people, that we can move forward in something and then it's like, wait a minute, you know, we get out of things, but we also decide as we can move forward in new things, wait a minute, I think there's something going on here. I don't think our truth is the same. So, um, the whole thing is we listen to our intuition, willing to grow and heal and mature ourselves, learn lessons in life, love and believe in ourselves. We're going to move forward. We're going to meet more shadowy people who want to be the next person to indulge at a workplace, in a friendship, in a relationship. But now, as we're moving forward, we're listening to our intuition as we move forward. and taking those lessons that we've learned to maintain balance within ourselves. Because in high vibe, the Five of Swords comes after the Four of Swords, which is healing from past pain and heartbreak, seeing the truth of it, getting balance within ourselves, and then taking action from a more balanced place within ourselves. I'm not going to indulge myself in more poor behavior, and I'm not going to indulge other people in poor behavior. I have kind of wrapped my brain around this game of life, and I'm completing that cycle to go have a new beginning. And then as I move forward, I'm going to meet people and moving forward with the people in my life who are going on this journey with me. And then I'm going to listen to my intuition about more people that I meet in my life. You know, who are the people who at that level of life are like, well, I have mental conflict about, I want someone to be in a relationship with me at this level of life. But oh, by the way, I'm on the shadowy edge. You know, it's kind of like if you were to look at going to these different stages of life, like just like when you were 18, 21, and 25, it's different to maybe get in a friendship and relationship with someone where, say, you just became 21. Not to say everybody who's 23 is more mature, but um, you know, some people in the 21 to 24 range of life are more emotionally mature than some of the people who just became 21, right? They've had more life experience at that stage of life. So again, there's always going to be people who are kind of looking for new people who just maybe seem to have come on the scene, moved into a community, taken a job, or just at that next stage of life, you know, new levels, new devils. And there can be more shadowy people at that stage of life. You know, they might have learned some of the same lessons you did to move forward in life, but kind of like, well, now I'm here. Now I'm good. Let's stay here. And it's like, that was the whole reason, you know, it is about constantly going on this journey of learning lessons. And again, just like people can get to a stage of life where my dream is that I want to have stability and security in a job and get married or be in a relationship. Oh, what else? What do you mean? That would be the dream life. You know, and there is no other, this idea, and that can be a high vibe fire sign, of just being curious to even just look at life as an adventure and be people who are open to continuing to grow and heal and mature. You know, because we don't know what people's idea of the dream life is. And it's just like if you work at different jobs, right? You could work with different people and they come take a job and they're just like people who's like, well, I have the job. I'm going to kind of do the job well enough so they don't fire me. And then you work with other people who are really pleasant to work with and they're kind of motivated and inspired to be there. And, you know, it's kind of like that kind of difference, you know? So at every stage of life that you go to, there's going to be some people who are faking being at that level and they're really more shadowy. And some of the people you've known in your life who are more shadowy, they always try to present themselves as more stable and grounded and mature than they are, but they're not, but they don't want to. It's always to make it look like they're more stable, grounded, and mature than they really are. And, you know, unless they find someone else who's creating that same illusion and is willing to, they can work well together to create that illusion. But if they try to get in relationships with more high vibe people who are more just and fair and loving, eventually the just and fair and loving people become defensive to them and move on. And some of them could be experiencing that. And then there's always people who are more immature and more shadowy. That's like, well, shit, that didn't work. I need to go find someone else, create this illusion about who I am. And I think you just learn to listen to your intuition, speaking your truth, in love, willing to get to know people, but it's kind of like, you know, you want with this card not showing itself, you want to get to know people to find out what their truth is and kind of what drives and motivates them and their idea of the dream life. And other high vibe people would want to know that about you also. And it's kind of like, I'm not moving forward. It stays here in the Five of Swords of just fair, balance, getting to know each other until I know feel more clear about someone's truth. And if I feel their truth is more on the same page as mine, then we would move forward in a more involved friendship relationship. If I see, they harness this energy in a more shadowy way, seem to have mental conflict about truth and love and being more just and fair, then it's like, yeah, we're kind of on different pages. And we can work together and know each other socially or in the community, but yeah, I'm not willing to give up my dreams anymore. And that's what shadowy energy does. I don't want to do the overlap. I want you to come get absorbed in my life where it's just about more about me. And it's like, no, I'm not doing that. And because of that, some people see you kind of standing in your truth, taking action. And that's why some of those people are like, shit, damn. If you were to go decide, screw that, I'm going to go repeat some old patterns, then they, some people could flock in. People just need to see you out, kind of doing whatever that kind of implies, I gave up on believing in myself and believing in my dreams. And yeah, there'd be all sorts of people. Hey, yeah, I'll be in a relationship with you. Yeah, I'll hang out with you for tonight, whatever. But if you keep not doing that, it kind of, just by how you live your life, keeps some of the more immature people out of your life. And by maintaining balance within yourself, which is kind of like, people aren't able to tempt you more in your lust and your greed and your pride and your ego and your fear and your codependency, that stops and keeps them away. And so, yeah, there's definitely people who are looking at people thinking, dang, I'd look like a shining star maybe if I was in a relationship with them, or they're really loving and just and fair, blah, blah, blah. But shit. So then those people got to go find someone else that they can try to manipulate or deceive or control or whatever. And I think you're leaving behind people who harness this energy in a shadowy way because you harness it in a high vibe way from your Gemini free will. I'm more motivated and inspired by love, harnessing high vibe Pisces, Aquarius, and Aries energy. And the other people can harness that in a more shadowy way. It can look great by worldly standards, but some of those people have a lot of mental conflict about listening to their intuition. So then they give in more to the fear, the insecurity, the defensiveness, things to try to that they think will be the answer to resolving their inner conflict or pain, heartbreak, ego. And other people move on. So, what's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Gemini energy that they might not see coming up? And again, when we listen to our intuition, which I think was a gift given to us, that, we think we're so smart, pride comes before the fall. We all could have gotten in some situations where our intuition was kind of loudly in our head, unlike usual. You shouldn't do this. This is not a good idea. You should go home. But we did it anyway, right? Well, now we learned those lessons, kind of humbled ourselves, got out of our ego, and now maintaining more balance. I do want some of these things of the world, but it has to be more just, fair, balanced, and that starts within me if I want my dream to come into reality. And as you're moving forward and you do that, it's like not seeing up ahead of you when we quit investing our time and energy and effort into more shadowy ways of being or people, what we don't see coming ahead is that there will be people that we meet that are more on the same page as us. So, what's coming up for the high vibe people they don't see coming? The Justice card. Why? Because of the Queen of Wands. So, the Queen of Wands can be that emotionally, people were inspired to get justice. And if I'm in friendships, relationships, or workplaces with people who are being kind of deceptive, manipulative, seem to want to win at all costs, they don't care, or they're bossy or controlling or self indulgent or immature, I'm done. And now you're moving forward in life differently. And as you do that, you'll get what you align with kind of within yourself is kind of what you're more attracted to aligning with outside of yourself. And again, people can be very loving, giving, just fair people, but it can be to the extent where, you're enabling people in poor behavior. And then you get in a more imbalanced relationship, not requiring it to be just and fair. Because we had mental conflict, we wanted a dream to come into reality, and we maybe had mental conflict about believing in ourselves and believing in our dreams, and I want this to work, and thinking kind of in a shadowy emperor energy, I got this. I can make this work, God. And God's like, really? Because I think they've kind of shown you the truth, but you kind of seem to be defensive to seeing the truth. But you can keep doing that for as long as you want. If that's what you want to manifest, you can manifest trying to change someone who keeps showing you they have a lot of growing up and maturing to do. Or you could see the truth, get out of your ego, and start living your truth. And then high vibe emperors also being a good leader in the world. Some of the people in your life know that you love them. They have things and people in their life that they love too. And they're not willing to detach from those things because those things emotionally manipulate them. So some of those people think your love for them or these things that you wanted will emotionally manipulate you too, just like it manipulates them. And you're going to show them what being a true leader in the world is. And it's not having people who say they love me trying to manipulate me, control me, confuse me, get me up in my head, get me up in my fear, my insecurities, hurt me, make me defensive. That's not love. That's kind of a sick love. And out of love for myself, I'm going to go get the justice I deserve. And if you want to keep letting those things keep manipulating you, you can. I wish you peace. And some of those people could be shocked because it could have been that you seem to be the more codependent, immature, or whatever, less status image or whatever. But even if it's not like power or influence or wealth, you are the one who looks like the more just, fair, stable, balanced, looking like a boss in the world. While they keep kind of repeating and letting all these things manipulate them, whatever they could be. And by doing that and being willing to see the truth, that frees you up to get in friendships and relationships and workplaces with people who do treat people the way they like to be treated. And that's how you get justice. Seeing the truth. I can't get justice here because our truth isn't the same. So I need to stand up for what I believe in because basically they are kind of standing up for what they believe in, even if they're not saying it, just by their actions, just by their words, by their behavior. I accept your truth. You do that, and I'm going to go do this. What's coming up for, and I think because everybody in the world knows you could act and take action out of more immature energy or to try to feel better or whatever, and people see that you're doing this, and other people could think, well, I could kind of get in relationships with people who are more doing this, and I could do this. But this person maybe inspires me to stand up for myself and what I believe in. And I want a more just, fair, balanced, authentic, loving relationship. And I think I can do it. And then those people get in relationship with you. What's coming up, it's kind of like, I don't know, if you settle for less than you deserve, that's what you get. And it's like, I would rather focus on me, my friends, my job, my career, if you're not in a romantic relationship, than put up with bullshit. But you can go do that with someone else who's willing to do it. And I'm assuming there's other people that have been in relationships kind of through similar situations. And I think I want to be free to get in a relationship with people who are like that. I don't want to get myself tangled up in a relationship that I maybe never should have gotten myself into anyway. And that's what some people, well, the shadowy people for sure, because all they do is try to deceive and manipulate people. They're really never going to bring a relationship into reality from love. And some of them are just creating illusion that they're more willing to move forward in a more committed relationship. And as long as those people don't want to see the truth, they'll keep indulging in it until those people do. And then the relationship will be over. But some people kind of got themselves involved in some things they maybe knew they shouldn't have gotten involved anyway. But, we want those friendships, those relationships. And then some of those people could meet someone they want to be in a relationship with, but it's like, well, shit. you know, then we have to, it's kind of in our pride and ego that we wanted, same reason why people don't even get out of a bad relationship. You know, again, we wish things would work, but, we can be defensive to, a little bit of our ego. And then for people who did try to present like something was their truth, maybe when it really wasn't, then they have a problem in their ego too about admitting the truth that maybe I was kind of got myself in something I shouldn't have gotten into, right? What's coming up for the people who, in their free will of Gemini energy, do not want to see the truth, don't want to speak the truth, don't want to take accountability for their actions, fear of being judged, don't want to grow up or mature themselves? What's coming up for them they don't see coming? The Queen of Swords to the Eight of Wands. Why? Because of the truth. Well, for shadowy people who did try to control and manipulate people in a relationship, that's a risk that we take in a relationship. We had the free will to stop some poor behavior and take accountability and move forward, grow up and mature ourselves, work through the conflict about some things that could be going on, how I thought it was going to move forward, how you thought it was going to move forward, what we think is just and fair. And they could have moved forward with some people, but they decided to kind of repeat an old pattern, which could have just been not having hope and faith and belief in themselves or others or in love, or get out of their more codependent energy or any other shadowy energy. And they kind of thought things would go in their favor, maybe because they've done this before. And of course, it works with them because whoever and whatever kind of manipulates them keeps being successful at it. Even if it's their fear nature, their codependent nature. Well, I'm sure you won't overcome your fear and your heartbreak and love and believe in yourself because I don't. But you did. But they thought judgment was going to go in their favor. And they thought that they could move forward and keep hiding the truth. And maybe if they were hurtful and unkind and deceptive and manipulative and bossy and controlling and acting like they wanted to win at all costs and they didn't give a damn if other people felt backstabbed and betrayed and hurt, that maybe that would cause you to drive your whole life off into the ditch because they were so hurtful and unkind. But what they didn't know about you is that you are someone who harnesses high vibe Aquarius. You're very bright, you're very smart, intelligent. That's also kind of traits of Gemini energy. And you're aligned with your more loving nature. And you saw the truth. People who are just and fair treat people in a just and fair way. People who want to act with character and integrity do. And when people act in immature, hurtful, and unkind ways, I'm not going to keep staying in denial of the truth, and I'm going to stand up for myself. And I'm going to feel betrayed, and I'm going to turn my back to those people. And in the Eight of Wands, I'm going to keep moving forward away from them. And I'm going to go on a new journey. Take the lessons that I've learned, work through my own mental conflict, my own fears and insecurities to stand up for myself and what I believe in. And that wasn't loving. And that wasn't just and fair. So I worked through the mental conflict that you're not who I thought you were. And I've healed. And now I'm moving forward in life differently. And then those people feel betrayed because you saw the truth and you're inspired to align with your more hopeful, believing, loving nature. And because you didn't drive your life off into the ditch so that they could step up and say, look, see, no, I'm the more just and fair and loving person. Look, see, they drove their life off into the ditch. It's like, yeah, you backstab somebody who's being truthful and honest and loving and encouraging in a relationship with you. They felt completely betrayed. But either way, if you'd driven your life off into the ditch or you didn't, those people were trying to deceive people still about the truth of who they were. I mean, they knew they acted immature ways, that they were hurtful, that they were unkind. And for some people, it really is a dog eat dog world, and it's really more about them and their image or their status or their friends or their family and the image that they have in the world. And they kind of justify acting like this in relationships. And if you're not willing to conform to it and indulge them in their more superficial, shallow, or whatever ways of being, well, then sorry, but you need to be backstabbed. You are the sacrificial lamb because they're like Jesus or God. Some people are very full of themselves. And they thought their plan would work, but because you loved and believed in yourself, they couldn't like steal your life and claim it as their own. And now they're mad because you're moving forward, getting the justice you deserve, looking like a boss in the world. And because they're in their ego and they're immature and they're competitive, when you kept moving forward, they know you're a just and fair and loving person. They know there's other people who will want to be in friendship and relationship with you. So they took action out of more competitive energy and as part of the attempt to make you feel backstabbed and betrayed and to hurt you because you weren't willing to do it the way they wanted. And by the time it all kind of hashes out and keeps moving forward, other people could kind of see the truth about who's who, regardless of who they try to confuse about the truth. And other people are like, I don't think you are who you say you are, and I don't think you were telling the truth. Because by the way those people are living their life, it seems like they're really thriving without you. So I kind of think you were kind of oppressive and confining and restrictive and oppressing like the devil in a relationship. They seem to be thriving and happy. And we keep seeing you repeat old patterns, being defensive to revealing the truth, staying in, like saying somebody was so awful, but yet they're the one, they're the one doing all this stuff and maybe claiming they're the wounded person, hiding that they were the one who acted poorly. But anyway, I think they'll have more high vibe people leave their life. And what they don't see coming is the people that they surround themselves with and the people who keep staying in a relationship with them are other people who are defensive to learning lessons in life, who also might be more about indulging themselves and might be a little full of themselves and want to be in the relationship for the status or the ego and the image, and might have been people who also had people who wanted them to move forward in a relationship in a more just and fair and loving way, but they kind of like to control people and have mental conflict about seeing the truth about themselves. But if they have someone willing to stay in a relationship with them and that works out good for their ego and image, and if they both wear a false mask and it looks good by worldly standards, even though they might be in a relationship with someone they don't want to be in a relationship with, because of unwilling to knowing they don't want to do love, they have someone who's willing to work together with them doing this illusion, more caught up in the ego and the image and more about indulging themselves in a relationship than doing love. Well, they seem to be compatible. It's just two people in a relationship that really don't do love. They use their emotions and their sexuality and their money and their power and their charm and their influence to try to create what a wonderful life they have. But it's more inspired by them or these things of the world. The other people are inspired by love. So they get true justice. The other people might look like a shining star in the world, and that's what they get. They get the things of the world. That's what the devil promises them. Love promises love. So there you go, Gemini. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.